Hello everybody and welcome back. So today I'm filming my September roundup and I have a lot of products to get through today, so I'm going to keep this intro short. So if you are familiar with these videos, I like to talk about all of the products I brought into my collection and I separate them into 3 categories. So my favorites slash my most recommended, my likes, and then my disappointments slash products that I just found unremarkable. So before we get into today's video, I would love for you to subscribe if you haven't already, and let's get into it. I have 3 products that I'm going to move forward to October's roundup, just because I was only able to wear them once or twice, and that goes for the Haus Labs Triclone Skin Tech Foundation as well as the powder. I only used these once in my initial review, and then I didn't really have the opportunity to use them again, and I kind of forgot. So I'm going to prioritize that in October, as well as the Saie lipstick. I can't believe I forgot about Dada. How could I forget about Dada? I don't know. The lip blur. Beautiful. I've only used it once though. So those ones are to be determined. Look guys, I decorated for fall. So now let's get into my actual likes, and I'm going to start off with the product that surprised me the most. I underestimated these so hard and now I'm completely obsessed. And I don't say obsessed, but I actually am, because these can be used in a variety of ways. This is the NYX Brightening Liquid Shadows, the Glow Shots. These are stunning. I'm wearing 2 shades right now. These are my 2 favorites actually as well. Golden Goji and Come Through Coconut. So these are incredible. So they kind of swatch a little bit differently on the back of my hand than they do on the eye. So when you swatch them on the back of your hand, they're kind of sheer, but you can see already, look at that reflect. And these are amazing because you can either swipe them on like so and it will look just like a satin eyeshadow, or you can kind of blend them out and then it kind of uncovers the glitters and it just becomes the most beautiful sparkly eyeshadow. I'm wearing this one as a base and then this one just in the center to make it a bit more dramatic, but you should see this in lower light settings. I'm gonna include a clip. It's breathtaking and I love how these wear. They don't feel drying or cracky on the eyelid at all. They're very comfortable and flexible, so I think a majority of people would really like them. Plus they have a variety of fun shades, but I'm so enthralled with these, you guys. They're really, really fun. They layer on top of powder eyeshadows fine as well without leaving like a wet halo around them. They're really fun and versatile. My favorite way to apply them as of late is to apply a little dab on the back of my hand here, and then I'll dab it onto my eye so it's not so intense. I get this more sheer glossy eye wash. So beautiful. Love those. Another huge favorite of mine this month was the Patrick Ta Cream Foundation and Finishing Powder Duo. I am so happy I purchased this. Money well spent right here. The foundation is so beautiful. It's what I'm wearing today. It just looks like my skin, but corrected. It blurs it out and it's such a perfect shade match for where my skin's at right now. It's just so seamless. It's so easy to apply. I haven't had any issues with this whatsoever. And the powder side is even more stunning than the cream, I think. I have been reaching for this powder with other foundations as well. I am constantly drawn to this. It's so blurring and so perfecting. I really wish he made these refillable because I fear I'm going to run through the powder way quicker than the cream foundation, just because I only need a couple taps of this foundation to cover my whole face. The cream side is such an easy formula to wear. I don't feel the need to set it, but I love that extra blur that the powder provides. And it also is extremely buildable, which I do enjoy because I do have some acne here and there. So it's nice to add that extra filtered effect to it. And it has a really nice finish. It's like a natural finish, but it also gives kind of like a soft focus glow. So you're blurred, kind of mattified, but you're also glowing. I don't know. It's so unique and gorgeous. The only thing though is I don't believe this is going to be a good foundation for those of you who are very dry. I feel like it may accentuate some dry patches, but I've also seen some feedback from those of you who do have dry skin and you love this as well. So I feel like it's just like one of those things that you have to try it out for yourself if you feel so inclined to do so. But yeah, I have been incredibly happy with this foundation. Next up, I have a concealer. This is the Milk Makeup Future Fluid Concealer. I have fallen in love with this one. It's what I've been reaching for 90% of the time this month. One of my favorite things about this is the wand actually. I love placing this in my inner corner just because it is rounded. Most doe foot applicators are kind of flat, but this is so fun to apply there because it feels cool. That's it. That's it. And I also really like how it has a pointed end to get some precise application if you want to spot correct. And it also has some extra product up there, so it's nice to get that extra coverage where you want it. And then you can lay it on its side or swipe it really nicely. I think they designed the doe foot really well. The one thing I will complain about is I don't like how chubby the packaging is for a concealer. I feel like this is a bit bulky. I do prefer concealers in like the classic form, but the formula itself is so nice. I'm not going to complain about it much. This is one of the most crease-less concealers I've tried. It only creases when like I use a wrong powder with it or whatnot, but overall it's really nice and long wearing. It covers my under eyes beautifully without having to add a lot. It has a thicker consistency, but it doesn't feel thick under the eyes, nor does it accentuate any texture. It's just an easy peasy concealer to use, no hassle whatsoever, and it's really beautifully long wearing. This is the one I'm wearing under my eyes today. It's just amazing. NYX came through once again. These are the upgraded Wonder Sticks. So I've used these in the past and I really disliked them. I remember purchasing them and being thoroughly disappointed, but now I feel the complete opposite. These are incredible. They reformulated them and now the highlighting side is an actual glowy highlight and it's so pretty as well, but I love the color of the actual like contour side. I have been using the shade Universal Light a bit more than the shade Light, but Light is a true contoury color for my skin tone. And I'll also swatch this glowy side. Yeah, really nice, very creamy. They blend out really nicely and they do have that gorgeous matte finish, so they last well. They do feel a little bit tuggy when you apply them, so you have to spend a little bit more time blending them out, but don't take that as a negative at all. It just makes it stay put all day. I really love how tiny the sticks are. They're very pigmented, so you only need a tiny bit, which is good because you could potentially run through this a lot if it was a sheer product, but I love its shape because you can get such precise application, especially with the highlighting side. It's fun to get like in the brow bone, the inner corner, upper lip, the nose, or any like little nooks without having to like dip your finger in or brush. I really love that. And for a contour, it's really nice. I only like to bring it in like an inch or an inch and a half. So it's nice to get like right into the cheekbone. It's very satisfying to apply, but the formula is great. They did a great job at upgrading them. Some more drugstore favorites coming out of this month are the e.l.f. Cosmetics No Budge Cream Eyeshadows. I am so thoroughly impressed by these, especially this lavender. It's been a long road of me trying to find a lavender like this with a good formula, and here it is finally. These are all very consistent in their textures and they're very opaque, and you can use them as eyeliners or bases or just like a nice diffused eyeshadow if you want. These types of products just get me going because I feel so creative whenever I whip these out. I love using them to intensify other powder shadows or adding toppers on top of them to make them look more dimensional and take some other colors from those toppers and such. These are just so fun and versatile, and the consistency is just so easy to work with. I have been enthralled by them. I am so happy I decided to purchase all of these colors. Like, thank goodness, they are a good formula. I'm gonna get a lot of use out of these, from my most natural looks to my more creative ones as well. My most used shades are definitely the more boring colors, Plateau and Sand Dune, but still, they're so good. And then I have some other eyeshadows to talk about. These ones, price-wise, are on the opposite side of the spectrum, but these are the Kevyn Aucoin, the contour eyeshadow palettes. I have medium and light. I've been using the light one a bit more. It looks like this. Do I have like 10 other palettes that look like this? Yes, but I love it. Anyways, I go crazy for these types of shadows that are perfectly neutral just because I use them so often. And this formula is obviously to die for. It's Kevyn Aucoin. And it's also a very tough palette. This morning, I launched this across my office and I thought it was done for sure. But these are little magnet shadows, so they just flew out everywhere, but they kept intact, so thank you. The formula is obviously amazing, and like if you are a makeup artist and you don't have a Kevyn Aucoin product, what are you doing? But yeah, they're very simple shades, but such versatile colors as well. I love this eyeshadow palette because it doesn't matter what kind of blush I'm wearing or what kind of lip, it's always going to look good and look flattering. And it's such a nice little palette, super skinny, super small, so you can just fit it into a makeup bag, no problem. It's super lightweight as well, so it's just like my dream in a little simple neutral palette. And then the last product I have in my favorite section is the Haus Labs lip oil in the shade Tint. I've fallen in love with this thing. It does feel like a lot of other other lip oils out there, but I really like how this one changes to my pH and it turns this really cute pink. I don't have anything like that in my collection currently, so I've been reaching for this quite a bit. I don't know, I've just been loving it. I'm such a huge fan of lip oils, and this one just fit into the family really quickly. I don't have much else to say aside that I love it. Now let's dive into my liked category. So I want to start it off with this one from Haus Labs. This is the Power Sculpt Velvet Bronzer. I use the shade Light Level 2. Okay, the reflection, I keep catching myself in the reflection of this and it distorts my face in a hilarious manner. Okay, I gotta flip it around. I'm gonna start crying. So this is a really easy bronzer to use. It diffuses beautifully. The tone is really nice because it kind of sculpts and bronzes you at the same time. And it always provides you with very smooth and diffused edges. I really enjoy it. I just find it to be maybe a little bit boring because it is just a powder bronzer, but you know, it's a classic product. So you can't go wrong with the classics. So I feel like I've just kind of seen this and felt this before. But besides that, if I'm going to reach for a powder bronzer, I would love to reach for this one. It's really easy to use. Next up, I wanted to talk about the NYX Wonder Sticks and the blush version. This I would recommend if you are very drawn to the colors and drawn to this kind of component. But for me, I just don't need that kind of precise application when it comes to blush. I felt like whenever I used this, I could easily apply too little or too much blush just because I couldn't really gauge how much I was applying with this little lipstick shape. And this is quite pigmented, so I was kind of thrown off guard every time. But besides that, like, you'll get used to it very quickly. The colors aren't my favorite. The formula is really nice. It's very similar to the contour and highlighting one. It has that nice matte finish that really sticks to your base, so it's going to stay a while. I just don't need that precise application when it comes to blush. I just haven't been reaching for them. I don't feel that excited about them, but they have a good formula. I tried out another concealer over this month. This is the Charlotte Tilbury Beautiful Skin Radiant Concealer. Now this one I have found to be quite similar to the Milk one in quite a few ways. The consistency and texture feels quite similar. I just have been reaching for the Milk Makeup one a lot more just because I find that this wears a bit better under my eyes and is more creaseless than this one. And I didn't really reach for this one. I would keep having to remind myself of it. And I think that's just because I've seen this type of formula before as well. It reminds me quite a bit of the Huda Beauty Faux Filter as well as the Josie Maran Vibrancy. It's in this kind of realm of thicker concealers but are quite hydrating at the same time. I really liked it. I will continue to use it. I just felt like I kept forgetting about it because it didn't stick out to me as much as others have. I will still have this in my collection and I'm going to use it time to time for sure. And it was also really beautiful too. And it also is a really great one at spot correcting. It just added so much coverage. It is a little bit glowier than I usually reach for a spot correcting concealer, but it wasn't that bad. It didn't add like a spotlight to my blemishes at all. It didn't add that much glow to them or anything. It just kind of concealed them really nicely, added nice coverage. I liked it, but it wasn't unique enough, nor did I reach for it too much. Next up, I have the Merit Bronze Balm. I use the shade Clay. This would easily be in my favorites if the Makeup by Mario Soft Sculpt Skin Enhancer didn't exist. I'm still ride or die for that product. That is my favorite out of all of the balmy products that have been coming out. But this is a close second. I think this is really stunning and I love how it's in stick form so I can just whip it on real quick. The color is stunning as well. I just find that this one isn't as long wearing as the Soft Sculpt Skin Enhancer. I would recommend the Makeup by Mario one tenfold over this one if you're asking me for a comparison, but I'm still really happy I decided to purchase this and I've been using it a ton. Another thing that I've observed is if you're rushing the application, it can look a little bit patchy, but if you take your time with it, it blends out flawlessly and it's a great color. And I really like the packaging. I love the gold stick. It keeps me reaching for it because it's so pretty as well, so that gives this product extra points. I know a lot of you wanted to know my thoughts on how this one compared to the Makeup by Mario, and I feel as though this is like a standalone product compared to that one a little bit. Like nothing compares to my Makeup by Mario beloved Skin Enhancer. In love with it. But although that one is my number one, I'm still going to get a lot of use out of this. I'm happy I spent the money on it. I'm finally going to be talking about, whoa, my chair just scared the shit out of me, about the AF94 products. These initially excited me to the core of my entire being. I was so excited about that video. But then afterwards, I kind of found myself not really reaching for these products. I think it's because all of the packaging looks the same and it's not my favorite packaging in the world. That plays a big part for me with reaching for products. It can have like the most amazing formula, but sometimes I'll just forget about it because it's not eye-catching, which is something I'd like to work on and think about more on why. But yeah, the packaging just kind of overwhelms me in a sense. Let's start off with this product. This is the Playdate Multi-Use Cheek and Lip Color. I do not like this on my lips. I found it to be a little bit too milky in color on my lips. It made it look chalky, and the color itself isn't my favorite of all time. It's like this mauvey color that I don't really reach for that often. Like, it doesn't suit many of my eye looks nor my lip combos. The formula is nice. It's kind of like a classic stick blush, but other than that, it didn't really wow me. If you are really wowed by a color, I think you'd really like it. It had good longevity and it's a really nice texture, like it blends out really nicely. I just am not in love. I'm not in love. I like it, but I'm not in love. I wanted to talk about the Star 69 eyeliners next. Now these I would have loved when I first got into makeup. I would have died to have these really bright liners that actually performed well at the drugstore. So many of them were either way too sheer or they're way too crumbly to wear, but these are great. They do have a little bit of a crumble issue, but you can kind of squish those crumbs and they become kind of creamy once they kind of adapt to the warmth of your skin. And they're very, very pigmented and they're quite easy to use. I would for sure recommend these, especially if you're a beginner and you want to start playing around with color. They're very opaque and they're creamy and they're easy to work with, and you get a good working time. They blend and blend and blend and blend. As you can see, just one little swatch stretches quite a bit. I want to see how far this is going to stretch. This is actually kind of crazy. And these are nice because you can also use them as an all-over shadow. As you can see, it kind of ombre itself out there. They're really good, but if I'm comparing them to other eyeliners I've tried, they're not the best. I just wanted to let you guys know that they do have a little bit of a crumble thing happening sometimes, but that it's easy to get around and it's totally workable. They're just not my favorite liners of all time, but for the drugstore, they're pretty damn good. They offer some other liners. These are the Backline liquid liners. Okay, I'm holding this kind of like the Wolverine. Fun. So these are nice. You can see I swatched them ahead of time here. They're very consistent and opaque and they're really good. These are some of the best in this kind of a form from the drugstore that I've tried. The one that I'm most impressed out of the colors I have is the yellow one. It's very opaque for yellow at the drugstore. I just don't really use this type of liner much in my everyday life. I'm much more drawn to an eyeliner pencil or a potted liner. These ones I just kind of forget about. I think they've done me dirty so much in my lifetime that I've just kind of written them off. But these ones are really nice. They don't crack or crumble. So I think these ones are great if you're in the market for something like that. I think I'm just realizing I think I'd rather spend a couple more dollars and just get stuff from About Face and get like the cuter packaging and the better quality formulas too. But I guess this is a nice option as well. It just really depends on your preferences. But for me, I much prefer About Face rather than AF94. But that's enough about AF94. Let's talk about this Huda Beauty collection right here. So I'll talk about the eyeshadow palette first. This is the Love Fest Obsessions palette. I think this one's really fun. I'm not a huge fan of the Obsessions palettes just because sometimes they have an odd color story and you can't really get that many good looks out of it. But this one I could. Like, there's a lot of fun dimensional things in here and I find that there's a good range of depth in here. There's some light shades and some really deep shades. Like, you get a lot of looks in this 9-pan shadow palette. These two specifically are so mesmerizing. Like, look at that. Oh, that kind of looks cool on the blue liner. They're very beautiful. I feel like Huda Beauty's eyeshadow formula has been improving and improving as every shadow has come out. Before, I was not a fan at all. I found them to be really dry and I found them really hard to build up upon. But now I can add like one of the lighter shades all over my lid and I can build it up, and then I can add some of the darker colors and it will adhere to my lid without getting patchy or sheared out. I've been really happy with this one. As always, if you really see yourself using this color story, I would say go ahead, but if you're not completely in love with it, I would just skip out on it. You don't need all the eyeshadow palettes. And for the blushes, I think these were so fun. I loved how they had that fun little graphic in here, how it says like share the love, like depending on how you hold it. Yeah, there. Share the love, share the love. So fun. These feel quite similar to their cheeky tints. They're just in pan form, and I know these are a limited edition, so they may or may not even be available anymore. But if you missed out on these, I would just get these because they're very similar in color and in formula. So this is the shade Burning Cherry, which is my favorite out of the two here. And I'm comparing it to Rebel Red. These just may be like the tiniest bit more slippy and balmy. Yeah, cheeky tint and the Burning Cherry. My favorite shade out of the two is Burning Cherry, but I'll swatch the other one here. It's Toasted Tangerine. I just find this one to be a bit too orange for my liking. It's just not a color I really like. And just like that, we're already in my disappointments, or the products I found unremarkable. So I'm gonna start off with the product I like the least. And these are the Undone Beauty, I don't even know what they're called. They kind of did this weird. They had all the printing on the plastic stuff you rip off, and then it just says Undone. I find these to be really, this is gonna sound so mean, but ugly. They get so dirty so quickly. Like, I only used this, I think twice, the black one, and I've used so much of it already, and it was just like those two simple uses. Like, that's how much I used. And look how dirty the packaging got. It's just like one of those, that texture that just grabs onto anything and it just doesn't wash off. But the formula of these pencils themselves aren't good. I found them to be way too greasy. It was almost like they had 50% pigmentation, 50% grease, and they just kind of moved around all day and they never really set down. They had a fun concept, but it wasn't there. These are 4-in-1 pencils, so you can use them all over the face, on the eyes, lips, cheeks, brows, but formula, not there whatsoever. A good multi-use pencil that I would recommend are the 1999 Beauty pencils. Those ones are fantastic, and you can use them on the eyes, lips, cheeks, wherever you want. And they have one of the best formulas I've tried, and their colors are really fun. So I would recommend those over these. And the color story was just not there for me. It was just a product I really didn't get along with. Moving on, I didn't jive with the Burt's Bees All Aflutter Waterproof Mascara. It just kind of coated my lashes. It didn't offer anything else though. I didn't add any volume or length or much of anything. And when I washed it off at the end of the day, it didn't feel like a waterproof mascara. It washed off way too easily. That's all I have to say about it. It just didn't offer anything to my lashes. And then I have some more e.l.f. 94 products to quickly talk about. These are the Majorly Matte Liquid Lips. I found these to have really fun colors, and they go on initially really well. I just have found that they kind of crack and crumble, kind of like a classic liquid lipstick did from 2015. Really fun, vibrant color, very consistent as well. With the deeper colors, they did have a little bit of streakiness, but you can build them up a little bit so that wouldn't happen. They weren't comfortable. I'm not much of a liquid lipstick person. I'm very picky when it comes to them if I do wear them, and these aren't the ones for me. Oddly enough, ones that I do really like are the About Face ones. They wear and feel a lot better. And then these are the last e.l.f. 94 products that I'm going to be talking about. This is the Shadow Boxer eye crayons, and similar to the Undone Beauty things, I found them to be a little bit greasy and not as pigmented as I would like for this type of product. When I reach for a product like this, I want it to be able to blend out like an eyeshadow would be able to all over the lid, diffuse nicely, all those things, or I want to use it as an opaque eyeliner or in the waterline or whatever. I want it to be multi-use. But for me, I wasn't able to get it there, and I didn't like the colors that I got here. So maybe it's the color's fault. I don't know. I know they have a ton of other colors out there, but I found that these ones against my skin tone kind of made me look ill as well. I have to be very careful when it comes to like blues, because on the outsides, once it mixes in with my skin color, my undertone, I have like a golden olive undertone. It can make me look a little ill, or it just blends in to look green and kind of like a veiny color. It's gross. I'm presenting you a gross picture in your guys' head. I'm just gonna stop. I didn't like them. This one was disappointing. I'm really saddened by this one. This is the Haus Labs Bio Radiant Gel Powder Highlighter. I picked up the shade Peach Quartz. I love the packaging. Like, how pretty is that? But I really disliked this formula. I thought it was going to be really hydrating and fun and melty into your skin. Melty into your skin. Oh my god. I look like a child. Look at my hands. I look like a child on craft day. I need to wash my hands quickly after this, but this is one of the most sparkly highlighters, and it just kind of looked like an eyeshadow on my cheekbones. And my mom's opinion on on this highlighter solidified it for me. I wasn't a fan of it to begin with, but when she said that she really didn't like my highlighter, it solidified how I was feeling, and it felt good that I wasn't the only one feeling that way. Did that make any sense? I've had way too much caffeine today, but yeah, I felt like it was really sitting on top of my skin and it did not look flattering in any which way. I am going to be returning this because it's pricey. Haus Labs is pricey and this was not worth any of it. I was kind of saddened by this next one, but it might just be up your alley, might match your preferences, but this is the Fenty Beauty Eavesdrop Lit. Now, I am such a mega fan of the Eavesdrop foundation or the skin tint. It's one of my favorite complexion products of all time. It's so stunning. So I had a lot of hope for this guy, but I got shut down real quick. I got rejected. I've seen this type of product a lot over the years and it never becomes part of my makeup routine. It doesn't really have a place just because I do have an oilier complexion and I feel like it's an extra layer that I don't really need. It's one of those products that are like a shimmer suspended in a thicker serum texture. I just applied it all over my hand, kind of in a thicker layer. I put too much. So that's what it looks like all over the face. It looks really pretty. It is, but once you add foundation and all of that, it just disappears and it just feels like you added serum. It doesn't offer much more than that, and I feel like if I'm spending money on a makeup product, I want to see it a little bit, even if I want it to look natural. It just did nothing for me. It just didn't have a place in my life. I was really hoping for this one to be kind of like a Charlotte Tilbury Flawless Filter moment, but instead it was a Danessa Myricks Yummy Skin Serum kind of vibe. Drier skin types might really enjoy that, but for me personally, it's just something extra that I don't need. This next one could work for drier skin types. This is the Summer Fridays Sheer Skin Tint. I just found this one to be unremarkable and kind of forgettable. I kept having to remind myself that I purchased this and I don't want that. I felt this before with other skin tints. It's not my favorite consistency. It's kind of reminiscent of the texture of the Kosas tinted oil. It's just a very thin texture, as you can see, and it's very glowy, kind of like the Glossier skin tint. It offers a bit more coverage than that. It felt a little too slippy on my skin, and I don't like feeling slippy throughout the day. It just wasn't a match for me. I have other skin tints I would much rather reach for, and if you're wondering what my favorite complexion products are, I have a list down below. I believe it says like my top recommendations in every category. You can revert to that to see all of my favorites in every category if you want to see what like my preferences are and what kind of my product tastes are. This one does not match that or those. I feel like I might return this. Unremarkable. I didn't like it, and that's okay. And my last product for today's video is the Melt Cosmetics Ultra Matte Powder Bronzer. I found it kind of funny that they named it the Ultra Matte Bronzer because it definitely has a sheen to it. Like when you look at it, there's like a little bit of a glow happening here. So I don't know why they're trying to gaslight me. I just did not like the shade range. I think if they had lighter shades, I feel like these ran really dark, so it looked super patchy, super orange on me. It felt like your first bronzer ever, where it just looked orange and you over applied it like crazy. I tried it a few more times after my Instagram Picks My Makeup video, and I can't get behind it. I'm so sorry. This one was a huge miss for me. I think the colors are way off. I will admit that I didn't really give this product the best chance. I never fully applied it and wore it throughout the day. I just couldn't get behind looking like an Oompa Loompa for a day. I couldn't. And I have the lighter shades. It just isn't for me, and I'm sorry. Okay, I didn't want to sound so snooty, but that's just how I feel. But there we have it. That wraps up September's roundup. I cannot believe we're nearing spooky season already. I'm super excited, but I really hope you enjoyed this month's roundup. If you did, please give this video a like. I will link all of these products in the description down below, so feel free to check that out, and I will see you in the next one. Bye guys.